Hey, what's up, dudes? Let me raise this. Better. So there's a little delay, so I can't tell right away if things are working out right. Everything looks good, but let me know if there's any problems if you can't hear me. Last week someone brought up that the audio was only going to the left side. That's still a problem. I just have not had the time to fix it. Been busy weekend and busy beginning of the week, but so some things know I still need to fix, but I moved the mic position, so hopefully the audio is a little better, even though it'll only be on one side if you're listening on headphones. Yeah. Anyways, wait a minute to see if anyone tells me if there's any technical difficulties. The other thing is, I know my Wi-Fi signal down here in the basement was a little weak. This is a 1920s building, so it's built like a tank, so it's hard to get Wi-Fi from up there down here. I tried to set up a repeater router thing that my girlfriend Erin gave me, but I started to try and do it like 10 minutes ago, and I just ran out of time to figure out how to get that thing to work right. So, speaking of which, he's calling me right now. So, anyways, besides those factors, hopefully the stream goes on. It looks like it's good on my phone, looks like it's good in my apps. So, yeah, drinking a Celebration from Sierra Nevada. I don't drink Christmas ales early, but this is actually an IPA. Sierra Nevada does theirs a little different. Since they started doing their seasonal beer way back in the early 80s, they basically made theirs where they were using fresh hops. So it's a beer that could only be made this time of year because the hops are freshly harvested and put in the beer. So yeah, looks like a Christmas theme, but it's basically just a really good IPA. So anyways, yeah, the whole point of this is I'm trying to get better at live streaming, and that's why I do it, but it's also fun to chat with people. And if you were here last week, I started to build this bike up. It's a Barry Hoban. It's a British bike. I can't remember I've done the research, I can't remember the year right now. It's early 80s, though. It's a full Reynolds 531 frame, including the fork blades and the rear triangle. Can't be dropouts, which is kind of cool. I didn't know that when I bought it. I bought it for, well, the guy said 75 bucks, but since he took it up to my friend's house in Columbus, I gave him 90 for it, so pretty cheap. And then the build is basically all the parts that I took off my Raleigh, which I had bought secondhand, put in the Raleigh secondhand. So a 9-speed Shimano group set. Got some bars from Otis at Dirty River that he wasn't going to use. As they were moving shops, I saw them in the box and he said just take them. And then I didn't have these last week, but I just this evening went and picked up these from my friend Yonda. He's the main mechanic he's the mechanic over at Dirty River who works for Otis. And he told me he had these that he wasn't using. He said they're all Tegra hubs, laced to Mavic Open Pros. He said he couldn't even remember where he got them, but they've been sitting around. He said he told me I could have them like 3 years ago. I don't remember that, but I'm sure he's right because that's how he is. He's usually right. So anyways, I did ask him when we were talking in the shop if these were for 9-speed. I can't just glance at this, so we'll see if this is the right, what do you call it, the free hub? Yeah. He did tell me to take them apart and re-grease the bearings, but I could still, dry fit everything, and then I could do that after. I've taken apart plenty of wheels, plenty of hubs on my vintage bikes to re-grease them. They're cup and cones, so basically when you take them apart, the ball bearings are loose in there, pull them out, clean everything, WD-40, see if it's all smooth, pack it full of grease, put all the little ball bearings back in there. So yeah, different from this, which I was talking about last week, is my nuke-proof hub, also laced to a Mavic rim. But this is one of I believe it's the first hub with sealed bearings, and that was kind of their claim to fame. I bought this I had an Austro-Daimler bike, and I put it on there. I rode that bike like 3 times, and it was a pretty cool bike. It looked beautiful, but it had a full Shimano 600 group set and a down tube shifting bike, vintage bike, and I couldn't bring myself to break up that group set, but I just didn't have a reason to have another down tube shifting bike when I already have ones that I like and are sentimental. So even though it was a pretty bike and I kind of redid the cables, I think I redid the bar tape, and the hoods on the levers made it look really nice. And then A woman I'm friends with hit me up and told me that she wanted to buy her boyfriend a bike for Christmas last year, so I ended up selling it to her to give to him. And he's an old friend of mine, actually an old roommate of mine too, so I knew he would appreciate it. He would do the research and be like, "Oh, cool! This has a fully consistent group set and it's kind of a unique bike." It was the Austro Daimler Alpina, I believe. Um, yeah, mid-level bike, but it felt really light, and the group set and everything on it was nicer than the frame. But the frame was in almost mint condition and just a beautiful paint job. But yeah, anyways, that's why that wheel, why I have that wheel. So the other thing is, whoa, watch out for that bike. So if you were here last week, you probably saw that I had trouble with the brakes. They didn't reach the rims, and there were these Ultegras, which I believe came off my Truck 1500. No, I put maybe, I can't remember. They came off something, or I bought this group set just off. Yeah, I bought this group set, and that's what's on the Truck 1500 now. But I didn't put these brakes on it. I left the original brakes on it. They wouldn't reach the rims, so Otis at Dirty River was like, yeah, they're just not long enough for each brakes. Gave me these longer reach, what do you call these? Tektro quartz. And I put one on to see if it fit, and it does. It actually, they have even more reach than I need. They would actually probably reach 650s. But so the brake situation in the front is handled. It fits in perfectly. In the rear, the same thing. I still need to, I'm not going to do this live tonight, but I need to drill this out so the way the modern brakes are different. Where did I put the little piece? I think it's on here. So yeah, these little, that'll be hard to see. This thing is so good at focusing on my face, it's hard to get it to focus on anything else. But that needs to slip in here is a slightly different size. So I need to run whatever that bit size is, which I need to Google and look up again, into there and fit it in. One thing Yandu, who gave me the wheels, told me is to make sure if you're doing that it's resting on this lip on the bridge and not bottoming out on the back side at the back of the bridge. So if you ever do something like that, that's something to keep in mind with the Neo Retro builds. So he said you could just, you could just sand it down, grind it down to get it to the, if it is catching there. And then, yeah. Oh, then I also got these what do you call these, gripper nuts, which I didn't have. Then I noticed my Schwinn, which is a Neo Retro build that has 9-speed Dura-Ace on an 80s frame. They had used these, so I asked about them. He's like, yeah, you should definitely put those on there. So get that focus, get my face out of it. Nope. Nope. Oh well. Anyways, gripper nuts. So put these here so I don't lose them. The other thing, if you watched last week, I realized because I wanted to put the bigger rear cassette on and I couldn't find some of the components. I actually had them sitting in a shoebox on the ground here, and so after a couple of years I didn't realize that's where they were. So I think I'll start with that, putting this this little wolf tooth piece on the, there's even wolf tooth road, they call them a road link. Basically, let's see, yeah, it drops the derailleur down so I could hit that bigger, like a more modern range. Last week I was saying it would be 34, but 34 is originally what I had. This will be a 32, which for this bike should be good. This won't be an off-road bike, so there's no need for that 1-to-1 ratio, because the front ring is 50-34, so 34-32 would be plenty. Yeah, 50-34. What is this, a 105? Yeah, 105 crank. I was running around working a ton today. I didn't know if I would even be able to get this feed up and going today, so I'm got nothing any more organized, but decided to give it a go anyways. Yeah, so if you don't know about these, actually, you know, derailleurs, most now, you get what, short, long, medium cage derailleurs. And then, back when these 9-speed 105s were made, they just didn't have they didn't have one long enough to hit those kind of those bigger rear cassettes. I've actually never put this on, I only took it off, so we'll see if I know what I'm doing with this too. And as you can imagine, I do this alone, so I know it's not, you're able to zoom in here tight. If there's something important, I could bring the camera over here, but. Where does this hit? Is it on the inside? I don't know where this hits the. Oh, it's like that, okay. That already still, by the way, I would grease that. It already had plenty of fresh grease in it. And I'll say this a few times tonight because people join later and people weren't here last week. I'm not a professional bike mechanic. I can do the vintage bikes, down tube shifting bikes, no problem. I've even some of the down tube indexed bikes. I can index bikes, gears and stuff like that. But these neo retro build and modern bikes on this obvious vintage frame, more modern group set, I am not an expert on. So what I was saying is when I build up my Trek 500, my neo retro build that I ride pretty much almost as much as my rally gravel bike, I built that up. I got it probably 90% of the way there, and then was able to ride it to the bike shop and be like, there's a couple things not quite right, and they buttoned it up for me. So basically what I do is if I'm gonna build a bike, I get it to where if I feel I'm confident enough with it, I'll take it for some test rides around the block, see what I feel like is not right, retune it up, do more YouTubing, more researching, and then if I still don't feel like it's there, I definitely go and let a real mechanic look at it. I'm lucky because, 3 of my good friends run a bike shop, so. And I'll do photos and video commercials for them, and basically, then for little parts like, the new brakes and stuff like that, he pulled those off one of his personal bikes, so he didn't mind that I took it, or he'll give me a discount, or maybe the labor he won't charge me for, so. But if you really don't know what you're doing, I would never fix up a bike and sell it or go ride it really hard without, more experience, and I'm at that level too. I don't, I wouldn't just build one of these and then go bomb some crazy hill. Like I said, I'm pretty confident on the vintage bikes. I know what I'm doing. There's a couple things with the more modern builds that'll definitely ask a pro. Even when I built the Trek 500, at that time I didn't realize that I'd used the wrong housing. I'd used brake housing because it wasn't packaged. It was stuff I had for the shifting cables, and I couldn't understand why the shifts weren't clean. And then, of course, Yonda made fun of me and said, well, you've used the wrong housing, and that keeps the index shifting. It doesn't give it that, I don't know, the cables run a different way and it's stiffer. Or probably put that all wrong, but nonetheless. Oh, the other thing is I bought from Otis too when I stopped in today a proper bottom bracket tool. So, for this style, so I did pull the crank back out and get the bottom bracket put in right. I asked him if I could just, and this again, that's why I'm not a pro, use my slip joint wrench and wrap a towel around so I didn't ruin these threads and tighten it down. He said, don't do that, you'll egg the bearings and the bearings won't spin right. He said, only do it with the right tool. If you watched last week, I lightly did it to get it in, but it wasn't sliding all the way in, so I stopped before I put any real pressure on it. Alright, derailleur. So yeah, even though I can't get the rear brake, I'm not going to mess with actually drilling that out tonight, because I want to be very cautious with that and have everything, I want to be paying full attention to get that in, have the bike in the right position. It still gets it close enough that I could hopefully run the housings and the cables if I get to that. I feel like that. Like I said, it's been a long day and I'm a little flustered, but definitely want to do the crank. Then, you don't poo in your own C-tube, you poo in other people's C-tubes. You know this. You work at a bike shop. By the way, Ben, you should just ride over here on Tuesdays and Thursdays instead of going home and watching. You should just come here and you could sit right there and drink a beer and you could zoom in my camera or tell me when I'm doing something totally wrong. Actually, what time is it? You could probably still make it over here before 10. That feels like it's... Yeah. So let's see if I can remember. These have this plastic clip that I know needs to pull out. Another thing I've only messed with a couple times, and I think there it is. Yeah, so, see a little, that comes out before you install it. Nope, sorry. It's some kind of safety mechanism. I think it's it's some tiny little thing that would just, if everything else fails, it's going to keep it from going wrong. Yeah. Nice, and then there is where's that? And this thread's on next. Block my face, yeah. And as Otis told me, 1 Newton meter of pressure. Next time you're beat in a long day, I'm sure. So, watch your face in the chat, works at the bike shop. They've been moving locations, so in addition to doing their normal work, they've been busting their ass basically building a new bike shop from the ground up. I made a little drone video that was kind of cool. It's on their Facebook, Dirty River Bicycle Works. I think on Thursday I'll be sitting behind, won't be down here. I think I'm going to do some stuff from the desk, so show some photos and videos like that. So I'll show that. But yeah, it's basically an old, I think it said from the 30s. It's a garage, so it's kind of just a shell of a building. So everything they've had to do. Thought there's a tool for this, but this basically is just aligning and holding it on. There must be a I was wondering if I could just get something to hit those grooves just enough to get it tight enough. Like, not that I know what 1 Newton meter feels like by hand, but it's not a lot. It's basically just to make sure everything's aligned, and I think you said the bearings don't crush because there's 2 other Allen things that are actually holding it on. And again, that doesn't need to be finalized. I could bring that into the shop to have that double checked. I have it good enough so the derailleur could at least be set up, in my amateur opinion. Hey, what's up, Columbus Ben? watching, can you, can you actually hear it? Like, when I look at the audio on my computer, it looks like it looks all right. I moved where I have the mic placement, and I'm not sure how laggy the feed is, if it's pausing and reloading. The intro video, since I have that countdown, I was watching it, it was seconds were skipping, it would say like, 8:37, then it'd be like, all of a sudden it's 7 minutes. But that happened last week and everyone told me that the stream still was playing fine, which confuses me, but. So yeah, on these there's 2 bolts with an Allen, with a hex. Basically you just go back and forth. I really do need to get the right torque. Like a torque wrench so I could put the right specs on all this stuff. As I get more, more advanced. I never cared when I'm building on my old Peugeots and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, it doesn't fall apart, good enough. Bit of a buzz. Yeah, it's showing. I wonder what that buzz is. It's because I can see it's like. I can see it like when I'm not talking. It's still showing the equalizer. It's still showing something happening. I don't know where that's coming into play. Where I'm getting interference. I actually ordered new audio cables because I noticed a buzz on the last professional project I did. Actually shot today. In Premiere Pro I could get rid of that buzz. Their audio stuff is so good, but live streaming, obviously I can't do it. Well, maybe OBS has filters to get rid of that stuff. I'm not that advanced with live streaming yet. But either way, it shouldn't be there, so there's some kind of interference going on somewhere, I believe, in my system. Yeah, because right now it's showing it, like at halfway, it's showing that there's noise. When I'm not, or it's showing noise all the way halfway up the equalizers when I'm not even talking. And there's no, right now the heater's not on, so there's no kind of, there shouldn't be any other ambient noise down here. Hey C-Stan, what's up? Yeah. Getting the new cable will give me at least a process of elimination to plug that in, and if it's still happening, then I need to figure something else out, what I'm doing wrong. Okay. Again, like I said, I will get this buttoned up to the right spec at the shop, but it's good enough for. As I was talking about last week too, I don't know actually what I'm going to do with this bike yet, where it's going to fall in my lineup. Since I used my other Neo Retro Steel build, my Trek 500 is kind of my touring bike, and I have a rack on it. But I really like that bike, riding it just every day. I don't know, it's got a triple on the front, so the gear range will end up being pretty similar. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'll see if I end up riding this bike a bunch or not. It'll probably depend on what kind of tires and everything I put on it. I don't know where I was going with that thought. I can't remember what I Yeah, if I am going to ride it a lot, I think I do want to get another Brooks saddle, a B17 for it. I love that on the Trek. I also have a B17 on my Roger Riviere, which I rode for touring, and yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was looking at the crank and thinking, what pedals will I put on this bike? I really love the fixation pedals I have on the Trek that I put on this summer. They're the kind with like Velcro straps, big wide Velcro straps, and then flat pedals. Do I have a flat pedal? Yeah. So the kind of pedals similar to these flat Deity compound pedals, but they have gaps, so you can put the Velcro strap through them. I really like them. So I don't ride clipless. It's not because I don't think clipless is the best. It's just because I like wearing Vans Old Schools and my tennis shoes everywhere I go. Part of me, I think, is also that I just figure I would like clipless so much that I would want that to then buy pedals for everything and always have to wear the shoes, and yeah, I don't know. long cables sometimes add feedback too. Ben says, yeah, and I wonder if that's part of it, because I am running a fairly long cable on here. But it is a nice one, I don't know. It might just, it might just be, I've been using it for a few years, just the connections and stuff like that, so I ordered one that was, seemed to be well reviewed, and it's Rode, reasonably expensive, so hopefully that fixes the audio problem. It could be a multitude of things, yeah. I did have some problems with this mic and its little cable, and I switched that out. That seemed to help it a little bit, but maybe there's some problems with the mic itself. I was thinking it was my old camera when I'd plug it directly into there. There was some clicking, but now I've plugged it directly into the new camera. This is the EOS R5 Canon that I'm filming on, and when sitting on top of the camera, I've had no feedback issues. What was I gonna do next? Oh yeah, let's throw those other wheels on and see what, just to make it look like a bicycle. Yeah, so I do not have pedals yet. Like I said, that might be determined by what I end up doing with this. Plus now I can see too with the rear wheel, the spacing needs to be changed. If this, well actually let's see if this does fit on here. The 9-speed. Is that the same pattern? Looks like it. So I'm guessing this is a spacer that must have had to go on the velocity wheels on my Raleigh, because that would probably be more, that bike was, I'm assuming those wheels would have been set up for more modern 11 speed. Oh, I'm probably gonna pull that on. No, you don't need to pull the quick release. Again, this is something I barely ever do since most of my bikes are vintage. Isn't there one that's typically one that's narrower? And where would that be? I see it on, maybe this isn't the right Shimano. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there's one of the, I don't know what the name, tines, whatever, it's not the right word, but is narrower when you're putting these on. So it all faces the same direction. There it is. Cool. So Ben says 11 and 12 speed hubs, get a spacer for 9 and under. Yeah, that's what I guess that would have been for. Like I said, when I was talking to Shop Yonda about, I just need a wheel set for this bike, I said 9-speed group set, and when he just says I have a wheel set for you, I guarantee he paid attention to that and knew this was the right thing. What are these tires? 23. So these tires will not be staying on this bike. I don't know what the clearance on this bike is. Keyed. Yeah. I don't know what the clearance. I'll put the widest thing I can. I'm hoping 32s. I gotta be honest, I don't know why anyone rides anything under 32 if you could fit them anymore. At least in this part, I mean, our streets are, our streets, they're not great. I think I have this tool, I'm not sure. Let me see. Yeah, I have a couple Shimano cassette screws. We'll go over this? No. Pull the quick release. And again, if you're just joining me, like I said, I'm not a bike mechanic. I do this for fun. So just like learning how to live stream, every time I build a bike, I don't do it enough to be an expert. I always end up needing a little bit of help here and there, or definitely internet help at the least. Are these all the same? So what are the two different? Oh, this is the right one. Grab it. Oh, that'll be easier to tighten when it's on the bike. And if you weren't here earlier, Yonda said I do need to he said recommending rebuilding these hubs, or re-greasing them, taking them apart and re-greasing the bearings and everything. But I'm not doing that tonight. That's pretty boring. I will put some grease in there. Oh, did you come through Akron on the way to Nutmeg? Yeah, my God, dude. Everything is under construction. Our main street finally opened back up, but yeah, the freeways, everything around here is just nonstop. But even like some of the bridges I cross where the bike lane is, there's like these drainage and traction stuff, and it's just, when I ride a bike with 28s, I've got a couple that still have them on there, it's just like, you're just getting bounced around so much. You're faster on slightly wider tires. We have brick roads and all kinds of, I couldn't believe when I put the modern wheel on the Truck 500, it fit right in, and it's the wheels off the Truck 1500, so an 07, 9 speed onto that truck's a 1982. So I don't know if someone else had already respaced it or what, and so it's be interesting to see here how close the spacing is. I mean, if I could do it by hand, I'll go with it. But if not, I've done on one other bike. There's a method where you get one of those, it's like a threaded axle, and you put it in there with some nuts, and you just slowly spread the rear triangle. That's one of the great things about steel. This looks like it's pretty close to fitting in there, but it's not quite. Might actually be easier to do on the ground. 130 for road bikes. Isn't 130 what 11 speed is though? And then vintage is 126 millimeters in the rear, I believe. So this would probably originally be a 6-speed, I think. So this would be 126 spacing. Like I said last week, someone had started a restoration on this bike. It's like there's a new head badge that it's got to be new compared to the way these stickers look. And then there's some touch-up paint, so I was kind of hoping maybe someone had, and the headset can't be, I would doubt it's original. So I was kind of hoping someone had already maybe stretched this a little bit, but it looks like it's, yeah. It's gonna need to be respaced, I think. Yeah, it definitely, yeah, just a little bit, won't take much, but. Oh well, could have hoped we got lucky on that. Yep, this will work good though. I think I will use this front instead of the other one though, because this dark colored rim will probably look cool on something else. This bike being all silver and then even a silvery group set, I think is going to have kind of a cool look all the way through. Like I said, if you saw, I have the silver housings. So. See how true it is. Could I? Hard to tell with an uninflated tire, but it doesn't look too bad. So. Yeah, tighten those down. So these are the problem solver cable guides, because you know when this bike was built, this is where the shifters would have been, but with these 105 9-speeds, I need the cables to run into those and be guided down, and then they also have barrel adjusters on them. I'm wondering if it's worth attempting to run any cables until I get everything else. I could say too, besides this bike, it's been kind of weird with all the, like after the Vuelta a España, just all the road racing ending after that, like super compressed schedule. Like every morning I was getting up, and if I was just editing photos in the studio, having a bike race on, sometimes flipping between two bike races. Now it feels like, man, that's a bummer that that's all over. And they've already canceled the early season. The Australian races have been canceled. Just really no end in sight to this thing. I know there's a couple of those vaccines are being worked on, but I don't know. I'm starting to wonder how long we're going to be into this. A lot of people are saying spring. My family just canceled Thanksgiving. You know, obviously, I can't imagine we're going to do Christmas. Gonna live stream Aaron's new build, Ben asked. So Aaron scored a Crust Bombora, a small. So familiar with the brand, they've been waiting to get their Bomboras in for a while. They finally got their shipping container of them all in, and she was stalking the website. They sold out within, what'd you say, like an hour? And so we've talked about, she's starting to get her mind around the components. She just bought the frame. She wants to, build it herself, like the way I build a bike myself. I get a lot of help along the way. So I said, should we live stream that build? She's like, I don't know. So we might do that. I think Ben and Otis got a SRAM drivetrain for her. The other components we haven't figured out yet. So yeah, it's just the frame and forks. So got to figure out a bunch of the other stuff that she wants to get, and with her budget and everything like that. So she started to, if you've seen some of the other videos, I did a couple of Erin's first gravel ride, and then she came out. So this summer was the first time she borrowed some of Ben's bikes, like ever came out and rode some more off-road, kind of the gravel rides we do, which in some ways could be more gnarly than true gravel out west, because they're not real gravel roads. They're like abandoned train lines and access roads and stuff like that. So definitely, threw her into the deep end on her first tries, especially when we did what we call the east side tracks. It's pretty gnarly stuff, some bike handling skills you have to do to get through that stuff. So it'll be exciting for her to have a bike like that, because her bike is a Surly Pacer. So she has it on 32s, which is fine for roads and some of the stuff we do, but it'd be nice if she had another bike to come and go off-roading with us. So that's kind of why she picked it up. Yeah, cable housings and everything at the end, right? Does she want a Sora group set? I really think that she does have the group set through Ben and Otis. The next thing will mostly be like the wheels and stuff like that. I don't know how much of the group set is there. Ben would know better than me. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like I said, that's been more her deal, and she's been talking to the guys at the shop about it. She's bought some books on building bikes and all that kind of stuff, so she's really into the idea of like being involved in the whole process. She also like Crust, one of the owners is a woman, so they align with her political views and a lot of her views on stuff in general. So she kind of wanted to support a brand like that. So it's totally understandable. Put your money where your mouth is, type thing. If you want to wave the blue line flag, you could buy a truck bike. So I did lose. I'm joking, but I actually did lose viewers because I made that one video about a gravel ride, and I'm wearing an Obama T-shirt, and then I wrote the title had "Riding with Biden" with a question mark in it, and like this one dude starts commenting. It's like, because I said, oh, I lost some subscribers over that, and I didn't say anything in the video. There's no talking. I don't show who I voted for or anything like that. It's just I wore like the Obama shirt too is one my friend made for his first, when he was first campaigning in the primaries, and I was starting out as a photographer. I took some shots of them. They gave me the shirts. They were selling them. They look really cool. They're all Ohio themed, whatever. And the guy who was like commenting was just kind of like, I don't come here for political content. And it's like, you didn't even watch the video, because if you watch the video, you'd realize there's no political content. And like, 12-year-old Obama shirt is too much for you. I mean, give me a break, man. I mean, that's my opinion. You could, if that makes you angry right now, you could unsubscribe and not watch my videos. I mean, it's an Obama T-shirt in a gravel ride video. It's a video about going about my freaking day. It happened to be election day, so I stop in the polls and I, vote and whatever. Like I said to him, like we're all voting for one or two people. Like I was just showing myself vote, and yeah, all bent out of shape. Ridiculous. Apex 1, derailleur, crank, and drifters is what she has. All right. Yeah, it's definitely a through axle bike. I don't have any through axle bikes, so back to the crust for Aaron. I'm reading the chat now after my little mini rant. Um, I was surprised though because like I've never bought just a brand new frame set. You know, I've never bought a new. Well, my one new bike is my 2003 mountain bike. I did buy that new, but that was all completely built up. So it actually comes with the through axles. I thought that was interesting. Don't through axle wheels come with through axles? Or through axles are more specific to the frame set than the wheel set? I know nothing about that. I wouldn't even claim to know a thing about through axles. I just know I can tell when pro bikes have a through axle because when they pop a tire, the guys come out with a drill so they can change them faster. Triggered. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. So you buy the frame set, and the only extra thing is the through axles. So yeah, she will need a wheel set for that. Which I have to guess it's a little harder to find through axle wheel sets since it's a more modern technology. I don't know. I think with disc brakes they make total sense. I have no problem with quick release on rim brake bikes, but especially if you're going to swap them, I would think. Like those bikes that you could go between 700 and 650. Huh, they always come with the frame then. That's interesting to me, yeah. Because when I see a wheel set listed and they're like no quick releases, I'm like online used or something, I'm like, well then I'm not buying them. You know, like I want the quick releases. I don't want to go source those out. I mean, I think well, you know, actually maybe I don't need to worry about it, but you know. What are these from, Mavic? Oh yeah, these are off. Most of these are off wheels that are busted. So. Yeah, I feel like on this I'll probably, for this build, probably respace. Like I said, I'm not going to be down here next week, or on Thursday I'll be upstairs. I think so. Sometime over the weekend or whenever I get a minute, respace the rear triangle. Start to think about what pedals I want on it. Drill out the whatever you call that, in the brake bridge, so these fit. Think about the tires, so I'll probably pull these off. And I don't know if I have anything. I'm trying to think if I have any other 700C road tires that I pulled off, anything that would be useful. Looking over here, I have a bunch hanging, that's why I'm looking. Those are mostly 27 American standard. I have some decent ones, but yeah, this is 700C. Yeah, I've got some 32 Continentals that are real grippy and run like tough for like good street riding. Yeah, so decide on the tire choice. Do those couple of things that are a little more tedious. Yeah, and then maybe a week from today, maybe have it to the point where I could like kind of button everything up and show it as kind of a complete build. Maybe run the cables during a live stream, something like that. And like I said, the project I think I kind of want to do down here this winter too, in case you weren't here last week, I'll show it, is it's been sitting here almost complete for a while. I explained that I bought the building last September, had this bike half done, and then I did a lot of work on the building. And summer, I'm basically just maintaining the bikes that I am riding at the time. It's really hard for me to try and build up a new project when the sun's out and I just want to be riding. So it's basically keeping the Truck 500 running. In a normal year, I'd be keeping my fast road bike running. With my back problems this year, I haven't ridden my aggressive bikes. And then the Raleigh, with that having a complete rebuild with the 11-speed group set. But Yeah, this is the project I want to finish up. The reason I didn't mind pivoting towards this is, one, I thought it'd be more fun to live stream that, and I need to do more research because this has a campy group set. Never set up a campy group set, but it's vintage carbon, a look KG 76 Bernardino model. Um, so vintage carbon to the point where it's basically built like a steel bike, where they made the carbon tubes and then they lugged it, so it's aluminum lugs. Kind of cool. My friend Kevin sold me these Mavic rims pretty cheap, so French wheels, these old, however you pronounce that, Caesarums, those machined out ones that are super cool. These are the Tour de France model. All that means is really it has this yellow spoke. But my friend Stu traded me the Campy group set. I think it's 10-speed Campy. I need to look. I can't remember. I have all the boxes sitting up here behind me, but let's say it on there. Yeah, I think it's 10-speed Campy, so kind of cool. Yeah, it'd just be a cool build. All city saddle that I got from Otis. Then I bought some other components. This is not the stem that's going on there. I have a sitting around here. Oh yeah. 3T stem that'll match much better. Let's see. This, I just put this on here to get it together. But yeah, that'll look pretty cool. So yeah, this, vintage carbon, not necessarily a, this will be stiff as all get out. It'll just be kind of something fun. I love the French stuff. I think the frame was $150, and that's kind of why I picked it up. I'm like, I dropped my phone with it. Live chat. Yonda says just pop it in and run it. Okay, and when I pull it out the stand, then maybe I will. Catching up on the stream, the chat. Farron is going to be around Central Ohio. I have some 650B tires she can have. WTB Nanos 2.1. She would probably be into that for sure. Yonda says run the 126 to 130, no problem. Ben says, Yonda, shouldn't you be harassing RJ the bike guy, which is totally true. So the Campy is not coarse, it's a lower level, however you pronounce it. Centaur, whatever the Italian is, Centaur, which I think is kind of their 105, but Campy doesn't really make any garbage, or definitely not, well, I'm sure Yonda has a different opinion. He could say more, but still a decent group set, especially for something like this. So Yonda was actually joking, if anything on this bike ever starts to feel comfortable, stop, because something is probably just broken, which I agree will be the case. But I still think it's cool to me. I'm a fan of Bernardino the rider. As a human being, he's kind of a jerk. If you've never watched a documentary on him and Greg LeMond, what is it called, Burying the Badger, it's totally worth it, about when they were on the same team during the Tour de France, and kind of had an agreement the one year that LeMond was the younger guy, would let Eno win as be the team leader, and then just kind of decided that then the next year, Eno would work for LeMond, and then Eno kind of ended up going after him, and the team kind of split down the middle, where half the team was working for LeMond, half was working for Eno. Just really fascinating stuff. Kind of what happened to, Team Sky the last few years with having too many leaders. But even different because it's, a stereotypical French dude. See, if you say yes and then type in the word that I don't know how to pronounce, it doesn't help me at all. It says Campy only makes garbage. I'm interested to ride with the thumb shifter thing. That seems like a interesting, ergonomic, difference. But when I put my hands on it, you're like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. It's such a unique, obviously unique to Campy. But I don't know, that bike's kind of gaudy, but I still think it's really cool. I would like to get one of the classic looks in like the yellow color or in the Mondrian type theme at some point, but I definitely don't need another project right now. Can't be as cool until you have to buy another tool set. Yeah, I went to, what was it? Well, actually, Yandu's in the thread changed the hub. I think on the Mavic for me. Put the Campy on. I don't can't remember what it was. It had to be Shimano, but he switched that out for me. Um, but then there was something else when I was trying to, I think, put the cassette on. I ran down to the bike shop that's right down the street just to see if he would turn it for me, and he was like, "Oh, we don't have any." He was like, "We don't have any Campy tools here." So he's like, "I sold them all. We don't ever mess with that stuff." Which is actually the shop my Raleigh came from originally. That's where Otis bought it from. Campy was cool. They have lost their way. I thought they lost their way in the early 80s, right? When they tried to get into mountain bikes and kind of Shimano started to really, really eat their lunch. I thought they kind of come back around. What time is it? 9:57? I think I will crack one more beer and chat for another minute if you guys are still hanging out. So, yeah, why not? Be right back. Need to get a Zeus group set? They make group sets? I know they're a frame maker, right? They were a. You should get one of those. What was the original electronic group set that Mavic made one, right? Zap? Is it called Zap? I bet Yonda would know the answer to this if he's still here. Alright. Didn't one pro team ride it for part of a season and it was supposed to be really horrible and unreliable? 2 months of 67 in. I do think vintage Campy is the coolest. It just looks so rad. The only thing I guess the only other thing I have some Campy tubular rims that came on my Jeton Tour de France. Yeah, there's some vintage Campy. It's actually cheap Campy. This is actually probably some of the cheaper stuff they ever made. What's that? Get that to show up. Yeah, it's Campy Hub. I don't. Did they actually make the rim? No, the rims are Mavic. Yeah. Champion du Monde. Made in France. Yeah. Which makes sense. It's a French bike. Zap. That was called Zap. Yeah. Yeah, with the Jeton, obviously did not want to mess with tubular or sew-ups. You know, it was funny when I bought that bike. The guy I bought it from, it was his dad's. Um, he was like, "Yeah, put some air in the tires. They seem to be holding fine. I should show them to you. They're dry rotted to absolute hell." And I did not expect to ride them anyways. Like you don't buy a vintage bike expecting to ride the tires, but I just thought it was really funny. I did give it a ride around the block when I got back here, but it's like, dude, come on, man. there's no way in hell these are legit tires. But he had the bike listed for 350, and I gave him. I lowballed him on Craigslist. I said half, 175, and he took it. Then I'm driving up to Cleveland to pick up another bike that I don't need. Zap and Shimano had the airline stuff. You could press the cups out and replace them, huh? Bet should. Campy doesn't make hubs anymore? They don't make hubs on their high-end carbon wheels? Yeah, these are just something cool to still have hanging in the ceiling. What is this, 5-speed? What is the, can't read that, made in France. Could you imagine climbing up Alpe d'Huez on that gear? You know? This is the front. That high flange stuff to me just looks cool. I don't know if I have high. Oh, I do have high flange on the Viscount, but I don't want to ride it. But that's definitely a cool looking wheel. They probably do. CNC, no soul. I borrowed a book about the history of Campy from Stu, who owns a building right across from Dirty River, where Yonda and Ben work. Obviously, it was clear they commissioned it, so it was very like pro themselves, but it was still interesting nonetheless. Watching those old, so Campy became a company because what they invented the quick release, right? That was their first product, but then got into being able shifting. I love finding videos of how those old groups that shifted with the double levers and how you had to actually move the wheel in the back and stuff like that. I can't even imagine. Now when I go back and get on my tube shifting bikes, I think it's like friction. I'm like, oh wow, this is a pain in the ass. But it's like, I can't even imagine going through what they used to, or what originally before that they flipped you flipped the wheel around actually before you went to climb a mountain, right? You should come over here and live stream with me one day, Yonda. You could really tell the world some of your opinions. We could roast RJ the bike guy if you want. Yeah, also I added some, so when I was at the new bike shop, they put in all these LED lights that were so awesome. So I added one behind the camera, and a couple up here. It's so great, not just for live streaming, just for when I actually am working on the bikes, to be able to see everything. I know these streams come in fairly low quality, but you could probably still tell that the lighting is pretty good. I actually bought 2 sets of these things. What does Yonda say? The old stuff was cool because it was clear exhibition of pure craftsmanship. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Like, have you guys ever read the story about when, why can't I think of what Campanola's, what his first name is? Tullio? Yeah, Tullio. Is that how you pronounce it? but when he actually met, and I definitely don't know Shimano's first name, but when Shimano was starting out and starting to like break into the market, there's a story which I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but they met each other at some kind of bike party, and Tullio did not know that he was talking to Shimano, um, and he said, you know, all these Japanese do is copy, and I guess Shimano said, I like to think we copy and improve the products, and turns out that that was actually, like I said, the founder of Shimano. But yeah, I think that is what Shimano did, right? They reversed engineered all the campy stuff, were able to cut down on the costs, and eventually, like, right, did make it better. You know, invented the drifter, the SDI lever. Because then Campy first indexed gears, right? They had down tube indexing was the first indexing system, I believe, that was functional. I don't know. I still like some of the campy stuff that looks cool. I definitely carbon cranks look. They don't. I do not like the camping cranks, but I don't even like the modern 105 cranks on my Raleigh the way those look. But I definitely don't like the way the carbon ones look. But I think they make cool looking wheels. I mean, I can't vouch for them. I could never afford them. But I definitely think campies with that cool kind of spoke pattern they have that are kind of like that cross like this, and you know, I don't know, they stand out. But definitely nothing's made to last. Carbon's not made to last. I mean, you can't even recycle it. Every carbon bike is a future landfill, you know, item. Whereas right here, this said early '80s, this beautiful lug work. I mean, these are, I I haven't looked up what lugs these are. I have looked up the bottom bracket shell, whatever you call that. Yeah, but yeah, this yeah, beautiful bike that still I could put modern 9-speed group set on it, still ride it. You know, pretty much lasts forever if you take care of it. You know, I have a whole wall of bikes over here that are all 70s and 80s. Zoom in on that, see if I could show that. It won't focus. Why not? Yeah, I don't know if it's something with the live streaming. I was focusing on my face the whole time. Why won't grab that? Just grabbing those front handlebars. It should. Says Suntour is technically the first to do index shifting, but in the '60s, SIS Shimano did the first high-end index shifting. Yeah, and then this is something I just learned. I never knew what because I have a lot of the group set off the truck was all that I replaced it with. It was all Suntour, but why did this camera just stop focusing on me? It's really driving me, grinding my gears, as they say. It really just stopped autofocusing. Huh. Anyways, I didn't realize Shimano bought Suntour and put them, and then just basically closed them down. So, but I guess they had some nicer group sets. The ones I have been mid-level or low-level, and I have not been a fan of them even as like down to friction. I preferred even some of the French stuff like the simplex stuff on my Peugeot. Uh, but from what I've read there, they did make some nicer group sets that were pretty decent for their time, and then I think some lightweight stuff for the time too. But then, yeah, I guess Shimano at some point bought them out and closed it down, right? Late 70s Shimano. When I first put when I first got the Raleigh and it was my first bike that actually had STI levers on it. Our one friend Ryan was over on New Year's and he's like, oh man, you're gonna have a hard time going back because I ride all the vintage bikes and then just my mountain bike. And he's right, it gets harder and harder to go back and riding the down tube shifting bikes. Like I'm sentimental about the Peugeot and the Viscount, so I still do go out on them once in a while. But a build like this is really my favorite thing now. Take that vintage steel frame, but then put some, even if it's 9-speed on it, it's perfect to me. I love the feel of the vintage bikes. I love the look of the vintage bikes. I do not like the sloping top tube at all. I like the classic triangle. I like the way steel feels. The only thing with these is you're just limited by the clearance, really. You know, the clearance from the rear tire and the seat stays. All right, dudes. What, it's 10 after 10. Ben, thanks for joining and chatting again. It's always fun. You were one of the first ones to show up on these things, Columbus Ben, and make them fun for me to learn how to live stream. Other Ben and Yonda, I'll see you guys tomorrow because we'll be riding. Do need to talk to Akron Ben about limiting our rides with everything that's going on now. But yeah, figure that out later. Thanks for joining. I'm gonna finish this beer, put all my camera stuff away, and hit the hay. Got a long day of work tomorrow, so I need to get a ton of stuff done if I want to ride in the evening. Haven't looked at the weather yet. Today turned out to be feeling so cold. Snowed almost all day. But and I think I'll make a video about it, but my Trek mountain bike that I keep referencing is now my winter bike. I have steel studded tires on it. I put it away and did not do a good job of cleaning it up last winter, so I think I will get that on the stand, and in my series of videos about the bikes I own, that will probably be the next one. And so as I clean it up and get it ready to ride again, talk about that bike a little, have a video out about it. We talked about pedals tonight. I've been working on a pedal video forever, so all that stuff will come out. Don't think I'll get one out tomorrow, but I'll be on the live stream at 9 o'clock on Thursday, so yeah. Awesome. See you guys.